afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul, and I am a nerd, and you are lucky enough to be here for the April 2017 Worldox Virtual User Group meeting from Attorney Computer Systems, where today we will be talking about document stamping. I'm going to talk about that, and if you don't know what it is, you will by the end of this half hour. And max files, if you've ever gotten that message that says you've picked too many files to do whatever you want to do to. Mary Jo is going to talk about how to get rid of that problem. So, without further ado, I'm going to press all the right buttons. I don't think Mary Jo's asked for keyboard or mouse yet. She's going to get in trouble when she figures out she doesn't have it. And there we go. We're not going to save this. We're going to get into the mythical world of Purdue Law Offices. We're going to wait for Mary Jo to ask for keyboard and mouse. We're going to give her that control, and we are going to let her talk about maximum files.
So I'm like totally sleeping on the switch here, apparently.
Oh, it's all right. I took care of it.
Paul, I'm going to just kind of reduce a couple more things here just to get out here for a second. Okay, so a lot of times the work zone is probably one of the number one ones that I get. People are trying to drag multiple files to the work zone, and it tells them that they've got too many. And I believe the default for the work zone is 10 documents at a time. So I'm going to go out to just a list here and just, grab several of these files here. I'm sure that this is probably more than 10, and try to drag these to the work zone, and you'll see that I get this message. Too many files are dropped. The max is 10 at a time. A lot of times when you have a case that you're getting a CD of files, or you're getting whatever interrogatories, whatever you are getting back, discovery, chances are you're probably going to have more than 10 documents, and you're going to want to get those all up into the work zone, or you want to get them into Worldox all at once. So there is some settings that can be changed and controlled in the back office side. Now, this is definitely an admin procedure that we do. It's in our the main Worldox INI file, which you're probably going, what's an INI file? You don't need to know that. All you need to know is that it can be done. We can go in and we can change the settings for a multitude of tasks to raise those minimums so that you can do what you need to do in a reasonable fashion. Now, we do want to keep this within reason. We don't want to be saying, oh, you can do 10,000 documents or something like that. That's just ridiculous. But in most cases, I mean, we're probably going to do 100 to 500 or whatever would make sense. Think about an email. You're not going to attach 100 documents to an email. That's going to be more, I think the default to attach documents is 20 for an email, but you can raise that a little bit if you need to, but within reason. We're not going to want to be able to allow copying and move and archiving of just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds at a time for everyone. That's something else that you're going to want to think about, who's going to be doing it. So if I had wanted to up how many can go into this work zone, I can just make a simple notation under a section in the INI file called max files. It would be, that would say work zone equals however many documents that I want to change. Some of the things that you can change, and I'll just kind of give you an idea here. Most of the tasks that we have defined default to 100 documents, a maximum of 100. But there are some that don't. If you're going to attach documents to a workflow, if you're using it in Productivity Suite, the default is only 10. If you're going to attach documents in an email, it's 20. Work zone, 10. So those are some of the ones that are a little bit lower that you come across and that you would want to maybe up that a little bit. Now, you can also designate a certain maximum files for securing documents. How many do you want to be able to secure at one time? How many do you want to move or copy or delete at one time? How many do you want to archive? You've got files out there that you might want to archive, and how many of those are you allowed to archive at one time? I could select all of these and right-click and archive. How many can I do? You can do how many you want to check in or check out at a time. How many you want to delete at a time. How many you want to edit at a time. So again, there are lots of different things in here, and there's a full list of all of them in the administrative guide under the section called Max Files. So if you open your Worldox administrative guide and just type in the search Max Files, you'll see a complete listing of all of the different things that you can set maximums for those limits. One thing that you also want to know is that if you want to launch more than, so many documents. I'm talking about moving things and, how many you're allowed to do for attaching or copying and that kind of thing. But there's a separate area for the launching and the printing. So it would not be under max files, it would be under max launch. And then you can see how many, you can designate how many is the max for that. I think that's 10 right now. So if I were to come in here and select 11 and try to hit open or, double click to open them, it won't let me. The default is 10. Same thing with printing. If I selected more than the minimum or the maximum there, I wouldn't be able to print multiple. I would be able only to do up to that point. So that's another section that you can also change and do. So yeah, use good judgment. Know that it's possible. And then we can talk with your administrator on, where to go to do that so that you can up those limits and do what you need to do. So if users are getting that error, that it's not an error, I guess it's a message, frequently, then that's something that we need to discuss and say, okay, we need to be able to do more of these and that. And I know we've had several clients do that, and we've went ahead and helped them in that regard. Paul?
Cool. And that's on a per task by task basis. In other words, you can say, well, I want max files to be 20 for the work zone, but I want it to be 100 for opening or whatever it is.
Correct. Each one of these areas is able to be selected at different amounts.
And can it be selected for different people? If you had one person that needed to be able to copy
I don't think so. It might, that might be something else you might be able to
perhaps in the user INI file?
Maybe, but or in the security or the preferences, but I think that's a setting that's global.
A setting that's global.
Yeah,
okay.
I believe it is global.
Great. And I'm going to talk about that. Sometimes helpful, sometimes not, little thing that we call the doc stamp. I'm going to type test here in a sample Purdue Law Offices document. And I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, and you're going to see that there is nothing down here, okay? But as soon as I go and save this, or as soon as I try to print it, because Worldox is going to want to put this on any printed document, I'm going to save this, and I'm going to call it test doc stamp, and I'm going to put it in our friendly fake client Purdue Law Offices, and I'm going to give it a doc type of sample. And once I save that and scroll down here again, I've got this thing called a doc stamp. You've seen them before. Maybe you have them on your documents. Let's talk about it for a little bit, and then let's talk about how we can manipulate it. First off, it is turned on in one of those mysterious INI files that Mary Jo mentioned when she was talking about max limits for copying and moving and that sort of thing. And so there's a section in the INI file that controls the doc stamp. Now we can turn it on just as it is here. In this particular iteration, this is the most basic form of a doc stamp that we have. Now we do have these curly brackets around it. I think we can get rid of those. I think we can change them. We can change the font size. We can change I believe the opacity. Is that how you pronounce that? How I want to say how thick it is. That's not the right word. How visible it is. How shaded it appears. So we can make it very, very out of the way. We can kind of make it out of people's mind because it's not so dark and it's not so big. There are certain things we can add to it too. In fact, there are quite a few things. We can add the client name, the client number, we can add the matter name, the matter number, we can pull the matter name, matter number, and client number together to create what's like a PM client ID, practice master or tabs client ID. We can show what version this document is. We can even put logic in that says if there are more than one version, show the version, but if there aren't, just show the doc ID. So we have a lot of stuff that can go here. Now, be careful. Sometimes what you show in a doc ID can reveal things to a client. For instance, if you have a field that shows whether it's privileged, and you choose to that would be a field in your profile, and you choose to show that field in the doc stamp, then somebody that you might not want to see whether this document is privileged or not might see that. Okay, that may not be the best example, but I've had instances where clients have said, oh, we don't want to show that in the doc stamp. It would be helpful to us, but if somebody else saw it, they'd be able to tell something about this document. that we don't want them to know. Another thing to know about it is that it can be turned off entirely. In fact, out of the box, Worldox does not come with doc stamping turned on. It's something that when a firm wants it, they tell us to turn it on, or we ask them if they want to turn it on, and they make a decision at that point. So it can be turned off system-wide. It can be turned on system-wide. Some firms have gone so far as to put a field into the profile that says whether or not the doc stamp should show for this document. And we can do that. We can actually use logic in the doc stamp to see whether that field says yes or no, and then simply suppress it or show it based on that particular field. I think that's a little overkill because we now have, under the Worldox ribbon, the ability to permanently remove the stamp, clear stamp code and clear whole stamp. We have the ability to disable the stamp. We have the ability to re-enable the stamp after it's been disabled. We have the ability to temporarily clear the stamp. Be aware that if you get smart and realize that this is a footer and you double click and go in there and just take it out, it's going to come back, because that's not how you get rid of a doc stamp. A doc stamp, although it's in the footer and although you have access and although you can go in and just take this thing right out of there, Worldox will see that you've taken it out. Next time you save the document, it'll show up again. So don't frustrate yourself like that, because that's just not going to work for you. Instead, what you want to do is you want to use one of these buttons to either temporarily or permanently disable the stamp, okay? Because that's what's really going to work for you as far as being able to get rid of the stamp. Am I missing anything, Mary Jo? Did I cover everything we thought we'd talk about? That's how it works. That's how flexible it is. It's the kind of thing that usually when we turn it on, people say, oh, show me how it would look this way. Okay, now show me how it would look that way. And then they pick away. And then they keep it there. You can turn it off temporarily just for that printing. You can disable it permanently for life, and it'll never show back up. And if you did disable it, you can re-enable it there. So very flexible. Most of the time, it's entirely useful. I mean, in the firms that are using Worldox, they have usually situations where it's nice for somebody to be able to pick up a document and not have to figure out what matter it belongs to, not have to figure out what client it belongs to, or where to find it, to simply be able to type that doc number in. Now, why is that so significant? 98199. Well, if you didn't already know this, if you type a doc ID right here and hit enter, it'll take you straight to it. So if you're wondering, why would we want this darn doc stamp to be on the bottom of the document, that's why, because it can get you straight back to just that document in a single matter of typing the doc ID in and hitting enter and letting it search for it. So that's it. That's what we have for there. Next month, we're going to talk about moving groups of documents all at once. Mary Jo is going to take that topic, and being able to retain things like what the document code is, who the author is, who the typist is. I'm going to talk about some new Office 365 integrations that have been introduced in the latest version of Worldox, and we'll take those topics next month. Of course, it wouldn't be a virtual user group meeting without me coming here and taking you to our website. So I'm going to go to Google, and I'm going to type attorneycomputersystems.com. Notice that I emphasize that S at the end of systems. It's important. It won't get you there without it. If you go there and hover over videos, you will find all 6 of our titles. The first 4, actually this is a kind of a catch-all for our VUGs, our virtual user group meetings. These 4 are live. Tabs 3, Practice Master, and Worldox each have their own virtual user group meeting. And then we have our Coffee Pot webinars. Those are live events that are taped and available later or can be attended live. We also have our eBytes video series that Mary Jo, she creates 3 of these each month, 1 for Tabs, 1 for Practice Master, 1 for Worldox. These are short little 2 or 3 minute videos where we take a very specific topic and show you this cool thing that we've discovered or that we know about, and it's very quick. We also have our longer format Paul and Mary Jo show, where I or Mary Jo will take a broader topic and spend 10, 15, sometimes 25 minutes going into great detail about that deep topic, that more broad topic. And so if you click on one of these things, like for instance, the Worldox virtual user group meeting where you are right now, you will get to a page that will describe to you what it is, what the next one is, what you do to register. We'll have a link. Both these are links to take you to the same place. What are we talking about? As you scroll down, you'll find past events. Here's where we are right now. This is the very webinar that we're currently in, so it's not available in a recorded version yet. It's currently in post-production. But as we scroll down even further, we get into things that are recorded and available to you. So we have literally hundreds of each of our VUGs. You can scroll through them and browse through them and find what you're looking for that way. And you can search for them simply by typing something and hitting enter and getting to it that way. So please feel free to take advantage of this content. It's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and there for you to use. That's it for today. Everybody have a good rest of the day, good rest of the month, and we will see you in May. Thanks much. Bye-bye.